So it's been a few weeks since we last talked, and you were really getting into the meat of things, it felt like. And I'm on your Discord server, and there's all this activity going on there. And the honest confession is, I haven't had a lot of time just to try and step with it. I'm trying to finish a huge project, but there's a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And so I guess my first question to you is maybe because you're going to, I think, going to post this, is maybe just a little summary of what we learned in the last one.
Sure.
And then from there we'll pick up, and I want to know what in the hell you've been doing
Yeah,
and
man.
especially learning. What are you learning? What are you discovering?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, hey, thanks a lot for encouraging me to do that last video with you. I was like reluctant and a little bit hesitant, but I think it turned out really great in terms of being able to share a snapshot of where our thinking was at the time with some of this generative AI stuff and experiments with Midjourney and Chat GPT. So yeah, that last video was a bit of an overview. We introduced the concept of these large language models and how we're using them to tinker around in Chat GPT, and then also making images of various sorts and crafting our prompt engineering abilities in Midjourney to start to get some images that we like. And I alluded to the fact that I had been doing that in a semi-collaborative environment on a Discord server I set up. And it started off as, 20 people, pretty tight circle of people who I know were interested in stuff. And you were a part of that. And I've expanded it out from there, and it's almost like 150 people now, and it's grown to be a really interesting consortium of like tech journalists, artists, entrepreneurs, engineers, and developers, and various other people. And for now, everyone there is known to me, and so it's kind of a safe place to experiment together. And there's been a lot of cool connections that have been made and a lot of interesting stuff that's come out of it so far. So I'm really stoked to have you there, and you have made a bigger contribution than you let on so far.
I don't think so. But anyway, I didn't know we were going to post that one. I thought you were going to transcribe it. So anyway, an aside, a parenthetical is you've got a host of different people in there, different artists and entrepreneurs and tech people and AI people and all kinds of things. Do you see them breaking out and do you see them kind of nesting out in certain kind of ways, or not that any one person goes into one kind of segment, but are they segmentized in any way? And are they is it you're starting to see a constellation of how these things are falling out and what people are learning or playing with, or is it pretty much still just kind of a alphabet soup?
I guess in some ways, I mean, there's the group of people who are using it in the artier way to generate images of various types. So I have a friend who's a film director, and they've been using the Midjourney image generation to generate essentially like storyboard ideas for upcoming films and interviews we're working on together. So they literally put in their gear. They put in Canon 5D, 50mm lens, Hornby Island in the forest, female interviewee, wide shot, and they generate a series of images. And now you're no longer working from a blank page. We can go and set up that shot for something that we already know we like, and we can kind of envision it along the way.
I like to digress. So can you pop up some of those images? Is that easy to do now? Just a couple of them, just a page. I sent my son a few of them last night.
Yeah, I think so.
There was one I really liked that was kind of white and bony, and it was, he said, "Oh, a la Geiger, the guy that inspired Alien."
Yeah, that was something else entirely, actually.
Yeah,
Um,
it
I'd be
wasn't exactly in the realm you talked about, but
I'd be happy to show you that too. Okay, so are you seeing my screen now, Kevin?
no, yeah, perfect, yeah.
All right, so pardon me, this is like a bit of a private zone or whatever. And so
Well, we're in there. Digression again.
who knows what we'll see.
This is. Let me intro this. This is the server that you set up. That's a Discord. Discord is an app. I take it. It's on the net, right? And you can
Yeah.
so describe did so somebody hasn't seen this before. Tell them what Discord is and how it fits, and how all this works.
Well,
And
Discord, I guess, is most similar to things like Slack or Microsoft
heard
Teams.
of it.
It's a team collaboration and productivity tool. It's meant to facilitate short-term, quick interactions and file sharing, things that aren't meant for email, but where communication amongst the team is needed. And so you can divide things up into channels and areas and zones and stuff. So if you look here on the very far right-hand column, you'll see there's 28 of my friends online, and I can see which ones there are. And then below this list, you'll see there's another 121 people who are offline. And so these green light people, you know, they're ready to talk to you and chat with you if you want, or they're hanging out online. And you'll also see amidst the list here things like this Chat GPT bot. And that's essentially a bot that I can send commands to and generate different responses and stuff. But let me stay focused with your question here for 1 sec. I'm going to go into the sketchbook right here, which is where I have the Midjourney bot set up. And you'll see right here some images that have come up. And I'm going to try to get up for you.
Yeah, can you zoom in a little bit on that, because it's hard to read on my screen, and I've got
Yeah. Give me one sec here. I'm just scrolling up for a sec.
All right.
Past some of these experiments I've been running lately. So bear with me.
You're getting close, I think.
Yeah, I just want to find one of these grids first so that I can show you how it all comes up. These were the ones I was really liking. I
That
think
was the one that one up at the top was the one I kind of enjoyed, but
yeah.
the one below that, I mean, above that was
The prompt here was sensual aesthetics of emerging silicon biological hybrid life forms, black block style. And then these other functions here at the end are commands that I'm giving the AI. It says chaos 100, aspect ratio 16:9, V 5.1, S 750, Q2. And I can tell you what that means. Chaos is, if you have it set at chaos 0, when you tell the AI to generate an image, it takes the prompt you give it and it tries to generate as close to an image of that as possible for the first one. Then when it generates the second one, it also tries to generate, again, not exactly the same image, but as close to the prompt as possible. When you go the opposite direction and turn it up to chaos 100, what it does, it generates as close to the prompt as possible on the first one, but on the second one, it deviates as far as it can while still being in the realm of the prompt that you gave it. So essentially, when you turn the chaos all the way up, you get 4 very diverse images as opposed to 4 similar images.
now.
Aspect rate.
Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just say AR 16:9 aspect ratio that we're all familiar with. It's essentially like landscape or portrait, 2:3 or 16:9. So you can spec if you want a square or a rectangle, exactly what you need. Right. V5.1 is specifying to Midjourney run version 5.1 of your AI. This is a new test and beta version that's out there. The production version is 5.0, and all the previous versions are there as well. And each version generates different results based on the information it was trained on. So some people have preferences for different versions of it along the way, even if they're previous generations of the AI.
So, as I believe, it doesn't take it very long to generate an image, right?
I mean, we can do a couple together if you like.
I was going to suggest. So, why don't we do one together? I might say, let's do something landscape. So, I'll just talk out loud.
Yeah, slow your roll just 1 sec. Let me get the thing back up and confirm. Can you see my screen again?
I can, yeah.
All right. So the way we command this thing, the bot, is first, I type slash, and that brings up a bunch of settings that I can use. And I'm going to just type the word imagine, which is the word you use to get the whole thing going. And then it enters a little box for the prompt there. So, Kevin, why don't you just freestyle something at me that we want?
Okay, so let's do imagine the Grand Canyon from the South Rim, cinemascope aspect ratio. I'm not sure what that is.
What did you say?
Cinemascope aspect ratio. It's a wide aspect ratio, like you go to a movie with a very wide aspect ratio.
Yep.
Under summer supercell thunderstorm with hail.
I love it.
Late evening light.
Supercell thunderstorm with hail. Yeah.
Yeah. Throw something in there, Kris, of your own to make it a little magical.
Sure. Well, let's just run yours for right now like this, just because I want to show a couple variations. So I've entered the command and it's running. You see it appended the command here with the functions. And I set that as my default because that's, I kind of want my images all look the same. And so I've put some settings in there and it appends every prompt I make with those.
I see.
So
So you have a certain filters you're telling it to give it a certain look and feel.
I'm trying. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm experimenting with. So I've cut and pasted to my clipboard and I'm going to drop it in here. So I'm going to just type 1980s film still, wide shot, group of youth friends hanging out at the Grand Canyon South Rim CinemaScope under summer supercell thunderstorm with hail. And let's just say solar punk future style. And I got this other little command I put in called real 2. So let's just run that one too and see what happens.
What is solar punk, by the way? I see it all the time in your stuff.
Oh, it's a subgenre of like near term fiction, sci-fi type stuff in which, technology and its use is also tied up with a love for environment and ecology. And it's kind of a blend of an ecological and technological movement, empowered by solar panels and batteries and clean energy and stuff.
Got it. So holy shit, it's already done it.
Well, it's
And
almost done
can we
on
enlarge it?
yours. Yeah, it's almost done on yours. And let's see
Yeah.
what we're getting here. Let's
Like,
just zoom a
you
little.
watch these come up and they don't start at any one place. It starts with just a fuzzy bit of color and it just starts getting more and more detail.
Yeah, so it didn't exactly get the hail, right? But you can see that you can
Oh, they
see
did. Yeah. Actually, Kris, that what you see in that top left one with the heavy stuff coming down, that's usually hail.
how can you
Same
differentiate
over
that
in
from rain?
I used to be a meteorologist. I was a weather observer, so I kind of know. But in that part of the country, particularly over there in the far, it doesn't necessarily hail, but
So
I'd
check
bet
this
on the
out.
first one.
Check this out, Kev. This is your prompt with my modifications.
Yeah,
1980s film still of the
yeah,
group of people hanging out on the top. I like all these ones. That one's
yeah.
pretty cool. So here's what I often do. Zoom back down. So you'll see when it
Jesus.
comes up with these variables at the bottom, U1, U2, V1, V2.
Yeah, what do
And
those mean?
essentially these are more commands that you can give the image, the AI to refine the image. The first one mean upsize one. So this is a grid of 4 different options it's presenting. And if I like one and want to use it as is, like
Got
this
it.
right here, I can say upsize 3. And so it's going to build me now a up-resed version of that I can use in whatever I want.
A technical question aside, wow. The technical question aside is, does all this use like super bandwidth on the computers?
No, but it uses super processing power at the data center. In fact, with all these subscriptions, what you're paying for is essentially processing power, cycles on a server in a warehouse somewhere. They're very, very, very processor and memory intensive. And so, yeah, that's what you're paying for. In fact, when I buy Mid-Journey subscriptions, what I actually receive is hours of processing time. And if
So do you know whose servers, whether they're Amazon's or whether they're Microsoft or whether they're in what countries they're in, or
I don't
you
know
know,
for sure. I mean, there's a good hunch that it's probably AWS or Amazon Web Services because they power so much of the internet. But no, I don't know for sure. But I learned something else interesting yesterday, kind of related to this. I just want to drop in here.
yeah,
They were talking about the processing power required to train GPT-4.
yeah, that's one of the questions I'm kind of wondering about all that stuff. Yeah,
$100 million. $100 million spent on compute power and energy, electricity, essentially, to take the large language model GPT-4 and train it. So, like, this isn't just grad students with ideas popping these things up on a couple of GPUs in their basement or whatever. to train a large language model like this, you need the resources of a huge government or a corporation. And so that's why we're seeing such reckless abandon as these companies like chase to be the race to be the first ones out there with some of this stuff, and are, you know, kind of acting a bit irresponsibly, in my opinion. It costs a lot
What
and
everybody
there's
said.
a lot of money to be made. So yeah. Hey,
Wow.
I wanted to show you this other function right here, Kev.
Yeah.
V3 is for variation, where you can vary the image. And this one, I haven't got, usually if you press the V button, it just runs some variants, but I've installed a remix option on top of it where I can change the prompt before it varies it. So let's just see if we can make
Yeah.
this like nighttime.
I, I'll tell you something to put in there.
Yeah.
And
Well,
this is not me. This is my humor.
yeah.
Rapture.
All right. Let's try.
For
That should make
evangelical friends.
that should make it weird. One thing I've noticed
Yeah.
when you use the remix prompt is you end up some pretty fucked up results, because it tries to hold on to what it thinks you like about the old image, but then bring in what it thinks you want about the new image. And I found that like errors often ensue. A lot of times if I see weird hands or faces on people and stuff like that, it's because I
Yeah.
think of that remix function or whatever. But
Does it learn from you? Like when you do this all the time, does it start to anticipate your style or your interests and not make so many mistakes?
well, I mean, it's hard to say, to call what it's doing mistakes. They're just not giving me exactly what I envision. I guess
I I
unless you
understand.
mean the introduction of the errors, like the weird hands and feet. And again, it still thinks it's giving me what I want. But no, Midjourney in particular doesn't like learn you in the same way that like your chat GPT chat threads can, where you can kind of like feed it background information before asking it questions. Chat GPT does kind of learn you and train to you, whereas this one does not quite as much.
So
These are
this
your,
is
let me give you your variations, and then we'll back out of Discord here first.
leave your page up though, because it's a good time to do a little tutorial on what it all is. Okay.
All right, you got it. Oops.
I
When
know that country well.
Yeah, here we go.
Yeah.
So anyway, these are your rapture variations, and it didn't exactly put Jesus Christ in there, but you can see it's some pretty interesting variations or whatever. And you know what?
Yeah.
I'll run one more with a more of a futuristic look to it.
Yeah.
Let's just say, do I still have it in my clipboard? Oh yeah, I do. Okay, so let's start that over again. Let's go. Imagine the Grand Canyon. We'll say 2100s film still and see what it gives us. The Grand Canyon. It's funny that that's what you chose. Under a summer supercell thunderstorm with hail. And what was I going to say? I was going to say a group of solar punks barbecuing, picnicking, let's say.
They'll get a ticket.
And I can try to give it that other. All right, let's see. Let's get one more in there. All right. So what was the other stuff you wanted me to show you? We'll just let that run.
Well, just you might quickly, if you got somebody coming in here that you could invited them into your server here, and maybe just quickly go down when they land what they're seeing there and where they can
Oh
interact.
yeah. Well, this will be the main different things that are
Left.
going on here on the left-hand side, if you can see that. And when you first arrive, you get dropped off in the airlock. And this is just like the main chat channel where folks are sharing different things. And you'll see my
Stop it
name.
right there a minute. Stop it right there a minute. I want everybody to watch this, to catch these two that we just went by, besides the ones you've done before.
Mhm.
Have you had a chance to look at this one yet?
Yeah, man. Praveen showed it to me again.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
yeah, it's pretty interesting.
It's deep. Yeah,
Yeah.
and then the next one was quite good.
Well, this is the guy, man. This guy blew my mind yesterday. He
Yeah,
is He's a leading AI researcher. He is committed to not pushing the bleeding edge of what these technologies can do. Well, that's not true. He is interested in pushing the bleeding edge, but he's not interested in pushing their capabilities. So he's using the previous version of GPT, which is more known and understood to us, and he's using it to solve big picture problems around aligning the goals of humanity with the goals of the fucking technology. That's like his reason for existing right now. He wants us to better understand these AIs, how they work and what's going on, so that he can align their interests with ours.
He's very alarmed about what's going on. You'd like to see.
He's the one who's talking about how completely irresponsible it is.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So he's trying to say none of this should do anything we don't want it ever. It should never do something we don't ever want it to do, and we don't know that it won't do that. And we should stop anything that could do that and figure out how to make sure it's aligned. That's what the alignment he's talking about is, right?
Yeah, and he's not talking about Mid-Journey
No,
necessarily,
no,
and
no. No,
in
he's
ChatGPT as we're using it here on the web. But he's appalled that we've taken this experiment of ChatGPT and we've hooked it up to every motherfucking thing on the internet. Because via plugins and stuff right now, you can access Zapier, and via Zapier, you can access Twitter and Facebook and LinkedIn and all these different things. You can hook it up to Wolfram Alpha. You can hook it up to, a whole variety of different things. And the leaders in the AI industry are saying, oh, well, we have to put it out there to test it and debug it, And Connor Lee's like, yeah, man, that's like saying, put the poison in the water to see how many humans it's going to affect, or if we can actually cure them or whatever. So yeah, it's worth checking out. And this is the type of stuff people are sharing, both experiments, prompts. I really like the channel where people are sharing prompts. That's how you talk to the AIs, and there's some real interesting ones being shared back and forth. Anyway, it's a mix of positivity and experimentation with also, caution and conversation about the more philosophical natures of the whole thing.
so maybe we won't go into the whole tutorial on how you use this. Are you going to do one sometime or help people when they come in to figure out? Because not everybody, most of your friends are pretty technically, digitally sophisticated.
I think everyone perceives that. I think everyone underestimates their own technical ability and perceives that everyone else is more advanced than them. You're constantly down talking your ability to keep up with this stuff, and yet you're so hip to it, man. You're not only participating in it, but you're sharing it with your people and acting as a bit of a sentinel to your crowd around what's going on here. So it's not super technical, but my number one advice is, if you're going to learn Discord or anything like this, first thing, configure your notifications so that you only get notifications when you want them. Otherwise, you're going to be getting beeped and bopped every single time someone says anything on the channel, which will make it annoying.
If anybody's been hearing beeps in the background, that's my cell phone, because mine is on whatever default it was. So every time somebody posts something, it beeps.
I can't believe you stuck around this long considering that, but it also makes sense because you're really keeping your finger on the pulse. You're hungry.
No, it's because I haven't figured out how to turn it off. I didn't even know it was on.
We can set that. We can do that. Yeah, we can do that after this call. Well, I do have one more thing I guess I could share with you that I'm pretty excited about, that I've been messing with this week.
Yeah.
It's a deviation from where we're at now.
All right.
Yeah, you interested?
Yeah.
Oh, we only got 10 minutes.
All right, I haven't used ChatGPT, so I got one question for that too, if we have time.
Okay, well, go ahead and fire off there, because I think this.
I want to see your thing. Go ahead, do yours.
Let's make it a separate video, Kevin. It's all about mental health and journaling using AI. Essentially, I set up a series of bots this week, agents on ChatGPT, to review my daily journals from the perspective of a whole bunch of different professionals. Life coaching professional, an accounting professional, a psychologist, a spiritual advisor, an artistic director. And so they read my journals each day and they make recommendations to me on my life, and even a linguistics expert who looks at not what I say, but what words I use, and looks at some of the underlying things that are going on in my life from that lens. And I've run it like 5 days in a row now, and it's ingenious, it's incredible. And me showing it to you will involve me revealing some personal information about what I'm going through. But I've thought about it, and I think I'm comfortable doing that.
All
So
right, how you're pretty transparent, in my view.
yeah, but I don't let the internet read my diary.
No, so how hard is it to set up these little bots to do each of these things? Does it take a long time, or is it?
No, man, it's very easy. And the thing is, like, there's people like me who are messing around with it
Yeah,
and on the forefront of it.
yeah,
And then as soon as these people are learning stuff, they're often capturing it and offering it to the world as a product. Yesterday, I saw a guy who wrote a little script or a bot for problem solving. It's a 5-stage problem solver. And, like I just said, it has 5 stages, but he can make it so that you just enter into the box on one side, your problem, and what comes out of it, the other side, is the solution. What's going on in the black box in the middle is the AI is generating 10 ideas and then ranking each one of those ideas based on its probability of success. Then it's throwing away the first 9 ideas, adding 9 new original ideas, and scoring those against the winning idea and running that loop 5 times. So all you see is problem solution, but what the guys have programmed underneath is AI using a problem solving logic, a reasoning tree essentially, to determine probability of success of outcomes based on your criteria and context. So yeah, I could write an app essentially that's like, check from this list of professionals what people you would like to evaluate your journals. Cut and paste your journal entry in here. Boom, here's the results. So that's how most people will interact with this stuff. They're not going to be in there typing code and doing different things, but we're learning these capabilities early and offering them to the world in these ways.
it's fascinating. The question I have with this when you're doing this is, we know it in quote makes mistakes. It's there. It's not a random process, but it's not in quote a perfect process. There's nothing perfect anyway. But how do you know when it does these things? Does 9 choices. Maybe it makes a bad choice that you would have rather had that way. Or I know you help it do a business plan, and there's no even way to know apparently how it does anything. That was my question for Chat GPT. My first question was something like, when you come up with a choice, do you have any sense about which is the better choices? And how do you make that? And do you have any sense at all that some of your choices are not as good as others? And is there a way to perfect that better?
Mhm.
Try to get it to be introspective about its process. Have you ever
Yeah.
done that?
A little bit at your beckoning, mostly. But, here's something I picked up yesterday from that Connor guy, which is, just because you've been asking it questions, Kevin, and not been able to determine what criteria it uses to make choices by, does not mean that it doesn't have criteria. It just means that you haven't asked it the right way for it to know that that's what it's trying to return to you. So for sure, it's got measuring sticks by which it makes its decisions, and it would share those
That's
with you
what
if
I
you were able to ask it in the right way.
It's kind of what I wanted to delve into and play with. It's kind of like try to find out if it knows or can tell you what criteria it's using and why it's using those criteria, those judgment points, etc.
I know, but that's a very surface understanding of it too, because you can tell it by which criteria to make its decisions. So
Right?
the more context you feed it, the better results it's going to give you. So if you say the criteria for the best decision that you should choose this on is efficiency of hours involved, potential revenue outcome, and different from anyone else's ideas that you've seen out there,
Yeah.
those are the 3 criteria. So you feed that into it before it does the evaluation.
I love to fine tune things. It'd be perfect for me.
Oh man, it's gonna be so fun. I really have been enjoying doing these experiments with you.
Yeah. Well, but there's more to find out another time. But I want to find out how you're using it now. I know you're starting to coach people, I think, or something, or you got to starting to do a gig of helping people use these tools for all sorts of stuff, right?
It's been
If
amazing, man. I put myself out there a little bit and it's coming around. I've booked like 5 gigs this month doing various AI related either presentations or coaching or workshops. Yesterday for the Canadian Architects of Canada Association, I booked a keynote at their annual general meeting. talking about how architects and engineers can use these tools inside their studio to change their workflow and their process. And I'm going to be you and I are going to Otherworld, the regional Burning Man together, and got invited into the Cyber Love Camp by DJ Metafunk there. And I'm going to be giving a couple presentations there on both Friday and Saturday about generative AI for artists and stuff in particular. I've got that Genius Machine workshop here at the Spark on Hornby Island coming up near the end of June, where people can sign up and come do a several-hour workshop together. That's for artists and creatives in particular who are experimenting with this stuff. And I got a couple other things in the works out there too. Yeah, it's been amazing.
But some of this whole business plan and the things you're doing was incepted in some parts with you asking AI how to come up with a business plan, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I've been also using it to help my friends' businesses this week. I have a friend on one of these islands here who's launching a counseling and therapy business. And man, in 1 hour, we were able to look at all the best independent therapy and counseling businesses out there on the internet, learn what's good about them, apply it to my friend's career, and get very specific and actionable recommendations, including plans and schedules and budgets and stuff, and work plans into the future that, you know, it's pretty incredible. I figured we jump-started our business 3 years in an hour.
So this is the through line of the two conversations I've had with you, which is the larger ambiance in some ways. The zeitgeist is AI is dangerous and it's going to kill us and it's going to extinct us. And everybody I respect, a lot of respect for, says that or believes it or thinks it's possible. On the other hand, people like you are using it creatively, very, very effectively to really empower themselves and other people in very creative ways, and are playing around with it and finding all sorts of good things to do with it.
Yeah. Well, I don't think it's that black and white. I share some of those concerns. I don't think it's going to kill us all, but I think that the commercial entities out there are acting irresponsibly in their speed. I think that we need to come together and understand this more thoroughly and regulate it at a big picture level. And I mean, OpenAI was started in response to Google's proprietary development of AI and was intended to be an open source project. But Elon Musk wants to sue them, essentially. They've taken this software now and made it proprietary, closed source, for-profit corporation and stuff. And one after another, we see that type of activity, and it's irresponsible. So yeah, man, I think there's a lot of positive things for humanity collectively and for myself and other people as individuals. I think that we should exercise caution as a society with how we engage with this stuff, and we should educate ourselves so that we can participate in that dialogue. We're really going to have to, our brains are going to have to catch up quick, you know? So we need to, I think for me, I need to be talking about this stuff, tinkering with it, have my fingers in the pie so that I can be informed as we move forward. It's not going anywhere, but I need to be a part of the conversation.
That's why I think those particular conversations we looked at, posted, one with the one I pointed out and you pointed out, are really good for people to see that kind of stuff. It helps provide a lot of context.
Well, say goodbye, Kevin. It says less than a minute.
All right, perfect. Thanks, Kris.
Where are you right now?
I'm on my boat.
Tell me about your boat.
Load around now another time.
All right. Talk to you soon. Thank you very much, buddy.
All right.